Hey guys, welcome to another pet pairing video. It has actually been a while since I filmed. I think I realized that I filmed for the last time, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, so it's been quite a while. So, whatever. Let's just start off. I'm going to, as usual, apply my favorite Auric Glow Lust. Shade is Selenite, and I like to use that on the high points of my face and underneath my eyes because I feel like it's really hydrating and it just really gives me a little bit of light and feeling like I'm awake. I didn't actually realize that it had been such a long time since I last filmed a video. As usual, when I stop filming videos, it's either because I'm really busy with work and life or because I'm in a dark place, and this time it's kind of a combination of the two. I've been quite busy at work, and as far as social life goes, let's be honest, I'm never busy. Although this past weekend was actually surprisingly, pleasantly very busy. We had some friends over on Sunday, and then my brother and sister-in-law came to visit us on Monday, which was second Easter day here. I'm grabbing for my McGrath foundation. Oh no, wait, I'm not doing that. I'm first going to apply my concealer, which is the Clarins Instant Concealer. I've been using that quite a bit in my videos lately because I'm trying to pan it. So yeah, socially speaking, this past weekend was actually pretty busy, so that's one of the reasons I didn't really film this weekend. But mostly I just wasn't feeling like it. I've been a little bit in a dark COVID, done with COVID place these past few days, and I'm never really good company when I'm in that place, so I thought no need to burden you with that and film. But how have you been? What's new with you? I'm seeing that some countries around the world have actually done a pretty decent job in vaccinating their citizens, so life is slowly reopening. I'm actually quite baffled by how poorly the Netherlands is doing for such a organized country. They are being exceptionally incompetent about vaccinating the population. But anyway, I don't want to talk about the news or COVID because it just pisses me off. I'm going to apply my McGrath foundation now. So aside from the two matte blushes that I showed you last week, I haven't really bought that much makeup lately. I got the, oh my god, I don't know the name of the set, the Dark Star kit, whatever it's called, from the Vault from McGrath. And let me tell you, I've reached such a low point now that I only bought that whole set for the freaking blue eyeshadow, okay? It looks so beautiful, and I know what a sick blue Mama Pet can make, so I was like, fuck, I want to buy this thing just for the blue eyeshadow. And I am still undecided on what to do with the black pencil. Realistically, I probably shouldn't keep it because I never use black pencil anymore. And I definitely am not going to be doing anything with that eye gloss because you guys know I wear my makeup out and about to work. I'm not about to go out with a glossy eye that's going to crease within 15 minutes. So that's just not going to happen. I don't really do Instagram makeup or editorial makeup. So I'm probably going to sell that eye gloss if anyone has any interest in it at all. Let me grab my powder now. So for my powder, I'm actually going to take the loose powder from McGrath Labs because I want to set my base as much as possible. So I might use this and just the tiniest bit of the Hourglass over top for a bit more glow. But yeah, I want to set my face a little bit better because at the moment I am double masking. And if you guys are wondering what the fuck I mean with that, I'm wearing a fabric mask and I'm wearing the disposable mask over top of that because, once again, we're going to talk about things that piss me off. At my workplace, we are now obligated to wear a disposable mask every single day. And I get anxiety just thinking about using a disposable mask and having to replace it every single day. Next, I'm going to take my MAC Delphic bronzer and bronze a little bit with that using my Sonia G, what is this called? Sculpt 4 brush, which looks like this. It's like a very thick fan brush. So I chose very early on that I'm going to be using a fabric mask because I do not want to contribute to the massive amounts of waste that are being produced with those fucking disposable masks. I have no understanding for the disposable masks. I'm sorry. I have no judgment for everyone, and I think everyone can make their own decision. But my decision was to not wear these masks because they are not easily recyclable. They're actually pretty difficult to recycle. That's pretty much the reason that I'm double masking. I'm using my fabric mask and then I'm putting the surgical disposable mask over top of that, and I plan on reusing that fucking thing for as long as they are obligating me to wear it. So that's why I want to like set my base as well as possible, because I have now more things stuck to my face. Not that that's ever going to stop me from wearing makeup, let's be honest about that. For my blush I'm taking an oldie but a goodie. This is the Cover FX Warm Honey blush, and as usual I'm just going to be mixing the matte and the more shimmery part of the blush. I think they look absolutely beautiful together. And you know what, since I'm wearing this under the mask and a lot of it is going to come off, I'm going to use a lot of blush, okay? I'm going to over blush. Are you guys living in a country where vaccination has been going a lot better than here? Are you almost back to normal life? I've seen, for instance, Melissa, my friend Melissa, whose channel you know, Melissa Gold. She's been posting photos for the past couple of weeks of her like going out and about, not wearing a mask, pretty much looking like they're back to normal life. And I think that is bloody awesome. I was hoping that we're going to go back to that soon enough as well, but I'm starting to feel like instead of going forward, we are making 2 steps backwards, because I'm not going to comment about that for too long since I already talked about it last time, but the Netherlands has once again halted the AstraZeneca vaccine. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And last but certainly not least, for highlighter, I'm going to take the beautiful Divine Rose highlighter from Pat McGrath. Pat has once again hinted at coming out with something pink. And people are losing their shit because every time she releases promo images of something that's pink, everyone is like, oh my god, it's finally blush, and it's never blush. At this point, it's a joke. That being said, this particular highlighter has such a sick formula to it. I just cannot get enough of it. It melts so beautifully on the skin, and it just looks even better throughout the day. It just kind of melts into your face over the course of the day, and it just looks so natural and glowy. I absolutely love this highlighter. So I'm never going to stop hoping that she is going to release blush and bronzer in this particular formula. A girl can dream. So I think I'm definitely wearing too much blush and highlighter, but I don't fucking care. I am going to set everything with a little bit of Fix Plus now, just so I melt everything together and it sets on my face even better. Like so. And just so you know, even with the double masking situation, I'm wearing my lipstick, I'm wearing my full face of everything. I don't care if it gets all smudged. Actually, yesterday I did wear a full face of makeup, like I said, with a double mask, and it was fine. I had a bit more lipstick smeared on my mask, and a bit more of like my face makeup probably came off in this area, but all in all, my highlighter and most of my blush were actually still there at the end of the day. And for my blush, it was particularly impressive because it was one of the new cream blush lights from Melt, which is, you know, a cream product. You would think that if it rubs a lot against your mask, it's going to come off like within a few hours, but it was actually there for an impressive amount of time. Okay, you guys, so let's move into the pet pairing portion of this video, which you have already guessed from the thumbnail. Today we're going to be pairing the gorgeous Bronze Seduction together with the Decadence palette. And I want to use a couple of like the warmer shades. What am I doing? I want to use a couple of the like warmer shades here on my lid from the Decadence palette, especially this shade here, the shade Inferno. And I would like to use some of the mattes in Bronze Seduction, as well as maybe these 2-3 toppers somehow incorporated into the look together with the shade Inferno. But let's start off with blending everything out. So as I opened Bronze Seduction, I was reminded of a very funny comment that I received on my ranking of Pat McGrath palettes video. By the way, I'm going into the Bronze Seduction now and into the lighter brown shade and starting to work that into my crease. I received a comment a few weeks ago by someone who, I don't know whether they meant it as a being surprised or like very indignant about it, but they were like, this is the lowest I have seen the Bronze Seduction palette being ranked. And I thought that was just so funny. It's one of those situations where if it's like written down, you cannot guess the tone behind the comment. So I couldn't really make out from that comment whether the person was like pissed at me about it or whether they were just genuinely shocked and surprised. And it's true, I'm probably one of the few people that puts Bronze Seduction not even in their top 3. And I stand by my choice. After all this time, I still think Subversive is a more exciting palette to me. I love Bronze Seduction, don't get me wrong. I think Bronze Seduction is an absolutely spectacular palette, and I can understand why a lot of people rank it super high. But for me, Subversive remains a so much more exciting palette. Sublime, I've said, is like kind of like a subjective thing at this point. I can't like think rationally about it because I have such strong emotional attachment to it. And what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the Iconic Illumination quad. I'm sorry, I think the Iconic Illumination quad is an absolute masterpiece. So yes, I am ranking the Bronze Seduction palette a little bit lower than other people. Deal with it. Since I have nothing, literally nothing exciting going on in my life, and probably it's the same for you, I am going to talk to you about TV series again, because what else are we going to chat about here? I don't want to, like I said, talk about the news or what's going on in the world, because that just pisses me off. At this point, thinking about work also pisses me off, so let's just talk about TV shows. So a couple of weeks ago, they announced this show on Dutch TV, and the commercial for the show was like, oh, Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad is in here, and I was like, who doesn't want to see your friendly neighborhood crystal meth cook in a new TV show? So I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to give that a try. So I started watching it without really knowing what I'm getting myself into, and the show is called Your Honor. And oh my god, it is like watching a Greek tragedy unfold in front of your very eyes. Spoiler alert, I am going to talk about what the show is about, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, just go right ahead and like don't watch the rest of this video, because I'm probably going to give away quite a few of the plot lines in this show. So basically I'm taking the deeper brown in the Bronze Seduction palette and working that into my outer corner here. You know, it's a very exciting look. So the show is centered around Bryan Cranston and his son, and the show starts with his son being somewhere in like a poorer suburb of New Orleans. From what I understand, the show is based in New Orleans, like somewhere deep into like the more southern states. And he's in this neighborhood, and he leaves. Oh yeah, he's there because he's visiting the place where his mom died. Like, she died tragically the year before, and I don't really know what happened. They haven't like revealed completely what happened to her yet. But he was visiting the place, and it happened in that, you know, poorer neighborhood. And some gang members started to gather around, and he kind of like ran off. And it turned out, as he was driving, that he has asthma, so he got an asthma attack while he was driving. You can already see this is not going in a good direction. And he hits someone on the road while he's looking for his inhaler. He stops, he goes to check who was the person he hit, and it turned out that he hit a young boy who was on a motorcycle. And he basically watches the young boy die, and that scene of the young boy dying was just fucking heartbreaking. He tries to call 911, and but due to the asthma, he can't really say anything more than just breathe heavily into the line. And then I think in just like sheer panic, and because he sees that the boy is dead, he just runs off. He's like, okay, nobody saw me, I'm in full-on panic and shock, I'm just gonna like smear him. Why do things come to me in Dutch? I'm gonna bail. So he runs home, and in his panic he's like trying to clean everything off from the car. He's trying to get rid of his bloody clothes and shoes, whatever. And then at some point his dad comes home, and he shares what happened with his dad. I'm taking Pixie Epoxy from Fairini, which is a very nice glitter glue. So he actually admits to his dad what he did, and the dad. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, did I say that? That Bryan Cranston is a judge, like a well-respected judge in the community. And, well, there were a couple of other things that happened in the show, but I'm just telling you, like, the gist of the biggest plot line in the story. So, anyway, Bryan Cranston comes home, and and the son basically tells him what happened. And then, being, of course, someone who serves the Justice Department, Bryan Cranston tells his son, you know what, this sucks, but you have to turn yourself in, and I'm sure that the fact that you had the asthma attack are going to be mitigating circumstances, whatever. So I'm going to get into the shade Inferno now, this one here. It's a really beautiful, very difficult to describe shade. Let me try to swatch it for you. It has this very like dark smoky base, and the overlay is this gorgeous like bronzy browny taupe. I don't even know how to describe the shade. It is so incredibly unique. I'm going to pop that all over my lid now. So he drives his son to the precinct. He goes out and he sees, as he walks into the precinct, a man and a woman hugging in a corridor, and the woman is crying, like visibly upset. And as he sees that scene, you see his face like turning completely like pale, and he walks out, and as his son walks out of the car, he's like, you go back in the car, you are not turning yourself in. And the boy's like, what do you mean? We're going into the precinct, I'm turning myself in. And then the dad says, the boy that you killed is the son of such and such person, who happens to be one of the biggest like mob criminal boss dude in New Orleans. So he's like, if you turn yourself in, you can pretty much 100% be sure that by tomorrow you're going to be a dead man. I love this shade. It's so neutral, but it has so much complexity to it. I don't know whether that is coming across on camera at all, but it is beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to take the Decadence palette again, and I'm going to go into Gold Standard, which is this shade here, and apply that all over my inner corners. So he decides to just help his son cover the tracks, and most of all get rid of the car, because the car is like the biggest evidence that they were involved in the hit and run. So he calls a friend of his, a guy who's like running for a political position, which was really strange to me, like a really shady dude who's running for like the mayor of the city or something. I don't know. It was very weird. And he tells the dude that they need to get rid of the car, and he just gives him the key, and he's like, get rid of it. I don't want to know what happens to it, just get rid of it. So the dude tries to get rid of it, and in the process he gives it to this young man of color who, you know, lives in that poor suburb, and the young man gets caught, and long story short, he gets murdered in prison for killing the mob boss's son, because of course they put two and two together with the car, and that car was involved in the hit and run, and of course they make the most logical conclusion that this guy, the young guy who was caught with the car, was the one who was involved in the hit and run. Now I'm going to have a little bit of fun with the toppers from the Bronze Seduction palette, and I am toying with the idea of putting a few of them over top of Inferno. So I'm going to take this shade and try to just work it over top of Inferno without really overtaking too much the tones of Inferno. So I'm just going to like very gently dab it on, because I think the two shades have a very similar tone, and the shade from Bronze Seduction just gives that extra sparkle to Inferno, which is by itself just like a metallic shade. Now I'm going to use my other finger and go into this shade, VR Fire Opal, and again, the tiniest amount, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of that over top as well, because I have green, like part of my clothing is green, so I think it might be nice to have a little bit of that element worked into the makeup as well. So the next thing I want to do is go into this topper shade here, and I'm going to apply that over top of Gold Standard, because one can never have enough sparkles on their eyes. So basically, you guys, that is the story of Your Honor, and honestly, with just like each episode that passes, the story becomes just more and more tragic, and there's like no fucking way this is going to end well for anyone involved. I'm not going to give away more of the plotline. I think you got the gist of it by this point. But it's just so fucking depressing, and I keep watching it because I just wanna, I wanna see what happens, I wanna see how the story unfolds, but at the same time it's such a fucking bummer. I'm going to go back into the Bronze Seduction palette and just kind of make a combination of these two shades to apply on my lower lash line. Taking the deeper shade here towards the very outer corner of the eye. I feel like they are going to hook up the guy who killed the mob boss's son with his daughter. If that doesn't scream Greek tragedy, I don't fucking know what does. Taking the lighter shade and just running that here along the whole lash line. Lastly, I'm going to run this Kiko eyeshadow stick, which is double-ended, and on one side has this beautiful like bronzy brown shade here in my waterline. I love using this shade in my waterline. It just gives such beautiful warmth to the eyes. This is the finished look. I'm convinced you cannot see all the sparklies and the complexity that became the layering of all of these shades together. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to translate that on camera, especially if you only have crappy daylight. I could turn on my ring light, but I still don't think you're going to see it. So you can just take my word for it, it looks awesome. On my lips I am wearing one of my favorite lipsticks from Pat McGrath, which is the shade Flash 3. It is in her matte trans formula. I only have a mini of it, which is probably a mistake. I should get myself a full size, but I'm not allowed to buy myself the full size until I have used up the mini, which will probably take me another 3 years. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this incredibly random chat video. Let me know what you thought about the look, if you have seen that TV show that I was talking about and what you thought of it. Should I continue watching it or should I just stop before it becomes like a real Greek tragedy? It's already a Greek tragedy, it's too late for that, the ship has sailed. Anyway, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!